Welcome back to the Sunday Footy Show. We've got some breaking news first up on the Dragons. Let's bring in Danny Weidler. Danny, what can you tell us?
Yes, Danica, a short time ago I broke a story on my Twitter regarding the Dragons. It relates to a get-together at Paul Vaughan's house yesterday at around 5 p.m. I've been told a number of Dragons players, the NRL are trying to tell me around half a dozen gathered for a party. I believe it could be even more than that. And that is breaching the rules that the NRL players are supposed to be under, biosecurity rules and the rules that are designed to keep the game going ahead. I understand, and look, this is just breaking now, that the way that the players may have got in trouble was via a noise complaint, which may have been relayed to the police. If that's the case, these guys are putting the entire competition in jeopardy because they're breaching the rules that are supposed to be in place, and it's just unacceptable. I guess it's early days, so we can't condemn them as yet, but from all the details I'm getting, the Dragons players have really stepped out of line. If it's 15 of them, it's a massive issue. If it's half a dozen, it's a very bad look. So we're going to find out in coming hours. The Dragons have confirmed they are, in fact, looking into this. They have put out a statement basically saying nothing, but they've said that they are looking into potential biosecurity breach by their players. And we have to remember that the players are under level 4 restrictions, and the vast majority of players are towing the line and doing the right thing so that the game can go ahead.
This is quite serious. We look at the Bulldogs and Josh Dugan, who were fined, but that seems quite minor compared to this story that is happening at the moment. What could be a potential punishment, do you think, for these players? I know it is early days.
Danica, it is early days. We have seen, players like, Josh Dugan posted a photo, or there was a photo posted him out at a restaurant. He copped a $25,000 fine. The Bulldogs players was a different situation. They weren't properly informed by their club. The club copped a $50,000 fine. You know, if this is correct and if it's as bad as it seems on the surface in terms of a breach and an arrogant breach and a sneaky breach of the laws of the game that they're under at the moment, the players will be hit very hard. But the bigger concern is here that, a lot of players are sacrificing a lot. A lot of them are doing the right thing. The majority of them are doing the right thing. And if these guys have done this knowingly and are doing it just to have a good time or to relax or whatever, when they're not supposed to be, then it's a massive concern for the game, and it's a massive concern for the Dragons, who, Paul Vaughan went through a bit of a drama last year in terms of being caught out at a coffee shop. That's nothing next to what this is, if it's all correct. And as I've said, Danica, it's early days.
Well, thanks for joining us this morning. That is huge news breaking there. Danny Weidler reporting the Dragons players reportedly having a party at Paul Vaughan's house. But this is also a breach of New South Wales health rules as well.
Yeah, this is hard. Look, I will always do my best to stick up for players. As you could tell earlier, me and Stella, when I spoke about the Bulldogs players, they were not properly informed, and I'll always do my best to stick up for players. So I know how hard the game is. Okay, but if this is true, and there's more than half a dozen players there, this is a huge issue, and they will be punished severely. I can see something severely happening here, like big fines and time out of the game. This is going to be huge.
And then I also wonder, will New South Wales government place their own restrictions on the game? So that's
a big.
I think we need more information to come out of this.
Yeah, we've got to wait and see if it's true. Let's wait and see if it's true.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think this is certainly a developing story. We'll have to wait and see what happens throughout the day. But
you heard Danny Weidler earlier and some breaking news regarding the Dragons. Can you add anything to what you've heard in the last few minutes?
Well, it's pretty concerning, isn't it, given the environment we're in at the moment. We're hearing up to a dozen players were at Paul Vaughan's house for the party, I guess you'd call it, or the get-together. Police, obviously, there's allegations the police were involved. A player was so concerned that it would then become public. He rang the club to actually notify them that they were around there and that it had happened. The issue is going to be, I think, there's a couple of issues. Obviously, the players have ignored the rules are in place. But the other thing is the other issue will be whether there are outsiders who are involved in the get-together, or it was just the players who are in the biosecurity bubble. And if it's just the players, I don't think they'll have to. They'll face sanction, but I don't think they'll face the same sanction as the Canterbury players who were forced into quarantine, weren't they, for a couple of weeks. If it's just the players from the club who are involved, they may not have to go into lockdown or into quarantine, sorry.
Well, they've obviously broken the law, right? But the other thing is they're together all the time, every day in the club. So in terms of the health in regards to them missing time, as long as no outsiders were there, really, they're in that environment all the time together. They obviously ignored the warnings there, and they'll probably face a fine from the government or the police, and then they'll just have to deal with the NRL. I don't think, as long as they were together as a playing group and no outsiders, it might not be too serious from the NRL.
Bad optics.
Oh,
That's terrible optics for the NRL, which are trying as hard as they can to convince state governments that it's doing the right things, its players are doing the right things. And as I said on this show last week, Peter V'landys and Andrew Abdo have done a great job in making sure those optics are rock solid for all those levels of government. This makes it hard, like the Bulldogs the week before. So
It's irresponsible where we don't. It's totally irresponsible.
I get it. I get like why they'd. No one likes any of this lockdown and having to be cooped up like we are, but
But it's what
what we are. It's what we are. And if you're talking about the competition going and staying afloat and going for the next few weeks while we get through this in New South Wales, then just do the right thing.
And they're locked in talks with the Victorian government at the moment about trying to get Melbourne players to Origin and not have to quarantine after that. And then the Victorian government sees this happening overnight. It just makes life really difficult for the NRL.